Well, I'm back with another remote, and as a result of a bit of a failure on my part, I don't have the initial footage of actually opening this up. So the state you're seeing in it now is actually the repaired state, and we'll go into the rest of the repair shortly. Basically, this is one I repaired some time ago, and the problem happened. I tried out a new product, which was a conductive paint designed to coat the membrane pads in here and make them conductive again. The problem was it separated off the pad and would stick to the board, causing this to continuously dump out garbage on the infrared. Yeah, which obviously doesn't make it very useful as a remote. So what I ordered in and waited like several months for was a kit of these little carbon rubber pads and some special glue. The special glue is pretty special in that it doesn't glue anything, so I'm not using that. I used super glue instead, but you'll see that in a minute. One of the things I found that works really well, we'll go over that in a bit. And you'll see me cut to some Lensbrite here, which I'm using in lieu of isopropyl alcohol. So yeah, but it's pretty basic. This is a repair that I had done before, so I wanted to just demonstrate how I'm doing these carbon rubber pads, and it's a little lazy. But this remote works now. Make a fool out of me. Oh, no, it is working. This is about 24 hours after the repair, so let's jump to midway through where I think my video left off, where we're attacking this with some Lensbrite. Let's jump straight to that through the miracle of video editing. Now, a technique I found worked rather effectively for this has been actually Lensbrite. It has this little mobilizing agent in some alcohol, and I just rub it with my finger and this comes right off, so certainly wasn't going to be a long-term plan. Yeah, and we can certainly see the enter key in the middle here. If we take my new tripod and come over here, we can see that the enter key in here is starting to, the carbon paint that was originally on there is starting to wear off, and all of these surrounding pads. So we'll get this dried off, wait for the Lensbrite to evaporate, and then we'll put ourselves some sticky pads on. The next trick I'm going to use here is a trick I've learnt when I was with I once upon a time worked for Australian Hearing, although that's getting on a few years ago now. Geez, I think it was something like 2004 when I worked for them. Back right about the same time the Siemens Triano hearing aid was released, which is cutting edge at the time. Alright, let's remove this. So these are obviously little button cells, very similar to the hearing aid batteries we used to use many of. And when we would glue hearing aid molds back together, we would do it with super glue because they were acrylic e-molds. So we would cut the empty blisters off the battery packs and use them to hold the super glue. Although I'm using some budget super glue here, we were using a Loctite 406, which we had to keep in the fridge. It's actually really good stuff if you ever have the chance to use it. Now, the next thing, we're going to pour a bit of super glue in here, and I'm going to use a very fine pointed object. In this case, it's a trim zip tie. I used to actually have a little scribe tool that was actually perfect for the job. I still have that in my toolkit somewhere, I believe. But with anything with super glue, and particularly if you're me, preparation prevents poor performance, and also gluing your fingers to the table, or each other, or everything else, or your tools. And the list kind of goes on. So we need to make sure we have exactly how many pads we wish to use ready to go. And I'll pull some ventilation off as well. So we definitely need one for the middle, and we're going to need, I think, at least one for the up and one for the down arrow. And of course, these things are so thin, they've all shuffled between their cells in the box. Let's see if I can get to them all. Okay, so I think I'll have just enough of this size. Okay, so we need an up and a down. We don't need to worry about both of these. At least one of them will help it function, and one in the middle, possibly one on the side. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll start that way. and we'll use the worst of the pads, and that way we haven't totally screwed up this membrane if things don't go right. Although the worst case scenario, I guess I could get a universal remote and I could physically do what I've done before, stick one of these pads to a hot glue stick and touch each one of these one at a time whilst I program up the code strapping into a universal remote. Now, because this is super glue and super vapors that go with it, I'm going to stick my ventilation just up here. You can see over here. We're going to get everything ready to go, and we'll do this in another take just so I've got some time to be double sure and I'm not stressed. Okay, so it's been about 24 hours or a bit less, and our pads appear to have stuck nicely. So I guess there's not much for it but to reassemble everything and see if it works. So let's swap this out of the way and we'll get into reassembling the battery bay here. Terminals first. These are nice simple remotes, they pretty much just snap together. Put it all together. Take our battery cover off, and we have a couple of batteries floating around here. These are not the most expensive, but they will test if things work. First of all, are we spitting out spurious transmissions? We don't appear to be. Let's angle this up and point it right at the lens, because I use this device for checking if remotes work anyway. I can't see if there's anything out. We might need to disable the backlight here. Right, the lighting has been dimmed. We see some infrared light. So let's check our OK button in the center. OK button seems to be working. Let's try up arrow. Up arrow feels a little funny, but it does work. Left, right, and down arrow. All seem to be working okay. So that seems to be a successful repair. Because I've only replaced one pad, the button does try and fall to one side slightly, but that should be fine. If they complain, I'll put another pad on there. Anyway, I've got more customers. I'll see you in the next video.